news of the day kind of thing, and I'm adding in some fantasy stuff from this book that's now available on newsstands everywhere, which means magazine season's back. Very excited. 700 player profiles or predictions for skaters and goalies. And it's got a little bit of everybody in here. Very excited. Veronic's supposed to get 29 points. Fleury's projected for 37 wins. Voracek, 73 points. Verona, 52. I like it. I do get a kick out of some of the descriptions. There was like, expect a huge jump from this guy this year. This is his year. And then what did they project? They projected he'll get like 4 more points. As the explosive, huge, here he comes. 4 more points. So, news of the day. Joe Thornton reportedly is going to sign with San Jose. So it's exactly what I figured. San Jose needs more forwards. No matter what way you look at their roster right now, which you can squint kind of, but no matter how you look at it, they need more forwards. They desperately need more. Top 9 forwards would be nice. So I think Marleau and Thornton end up signing there, and it helps them with their depth and gives them another year of these veterans to help train up some of these kids. The Canucks, I don't know if they're going to take any heat for this or not, but I get it. They're not planning any kind of a Luongo night this coming season. So Florida's already announced they're retiring his number. The Canucks are already retiring the numbers of both of the Sedins, and they're already having a Ring of Honor ceremony for Burrows. I would imagine Luongo gets a ceremony next year. And I don't know if any of this is going to be colored by the fact that there are some Canuck fans that aren't happy about him retiring, and that there's this cap recapture penalty, although I completely understand and agree with the cap recapture penalty. And again, at the time that contract was signed, the Canucks knew that the NHL didn't like these long-term contracts. So I don't think there's a big deal to Luongo not having a big night in Vancouver. I figure that happens next season. Eddie Lack is coaching Arizona State University while recovering from hip surgery. So I've seen conflicting reports, but it looks like he's not retiring. He's just going through rehab after hip surgery, and he's going to help coach Arizona State, which I think is kind of a nice thing. And then if his hip recovery doesn't work out so well, he's already started a coaching career on top of that. So Eddie Lack, who at this point in time is an American Hockey League level goaltender, it is nice to see him getting this opportunity to coach and to get into something else in hockey. I have to laugh, and I had to post this. I'm not going to talk about what's going on or not going on with Marner, because it doesn't matter. Sportsnet has 2 pieces on Marner being overvalued. Both there was an article comparing him to Timo Meier, and an article about how he doesn't belong on the same level as Matthews and Tavares, which again people can agree with or deny. But it's weird because right above that right now there's an article on how Nylander's ready to dominate this coming season after a rough season, that this year he's going to just be dominant. I find it weird because Marner, I don't see anything on Braden Point. I don't see anything on Kyle Connor other than Connor saying, yeah, we want to get it done. Nothing on him being greedy. Nothing on Line A. Nothing on Besser. Just, yeah, we got to have these parts on Marner being overvalued and how Timo Meier is a better player than Marner. I thought that was weird. I thought it was like, okay, so they're arguing that Marner's less important than Meier. Keep in mind, and again, this is important to note, Meier's on a 4-year contract for a $6 million cap hit, which is great. At the end of that contract, he makes $10 million. Meaning, in order to qualify Timo Meier, San Jose has to offer him a $10 million a year contract after this one expires. So, if you gave Marner that exact same contract, Marner's probably going to go, all right, cool. Because then he makes a minimum of $10 million plus 4 years down the road. So, But again, it's kind of weird how there's all these restricted free agents still sitting out there, and they just put Marner. And again, I get it. It is centered in Toronto, and a majority of hockey fans are in Toronto. I understand it. It doesn't mean I can't still find it humorous that a network that kind of owns the Leafs is trying to devalue Marner in public opinion and talk about Nylander's going to be awesome this year. I find that kind of weird. So yeah, That was interesting enough and entertaining enough to put in there. Can you guys talk about somebody else? Because I'm sure everybody's sick of it. And I mean, Leaf fans too are probably sick of seeing Marner pieces all the time. Let's talk about Braden Point. Let's talk about what does Provorov want. Let's talk about what's going on with every other restricted free agent, what they want, what they're worth, and figure it out. So, other news in Sweden, this whole females holding out and boycotting is now spreading. 43 female hockey players are boycotting the Swedish national team before the Five Nations tournament that's coming up because they're saying they're not being compensated well. Now, they're not publicly saying what they want, but again, this will get into that whole argument about whether or not women should get paid at all. And I know, but it's news, so I'm putting it up on the board, and apologies. Now, going back to the restricted free agent thing, the idea that I've had on how to fix this, because I have a funny feeling that some of these are going to go into the season. Why don't we just move the restricted free agent deadline into mid-September, so training camp, or before the start of the season? So if a restricted free agent doesn't sign a contract, he sits out the year. That's it. It puts pressure on the team and it puts pressure on the player. We saw what happened with Nylander last year. Nobody wants to see that again. And Nylander got done at the very last minute. So push the last minute up. So we don't see this situation where a player's out of shape and not he's a step behind for most of the year, and it's a disaster for the team and for the player. Get it done. Move that restricted free agent deadline up, and if you haven't signed a contract by then, all right, well, you're not playing this year then. And again, I don't think this would lead to a lot of guys sitting out. I think it would lead to a lot of contracts getting done in August and getting done early in September. If you don't, the one thing that I've learned watching the National Hockey League for 30-some years and watching lockout after lockout after lockout, they will not sit down and talk until they have to. They will not sit down and have a serious discussion until they have to, and it seems to extend to general managers, players, and owners as well. They're not going to sit down until they have a gun to their head saying, hey, you got about 6 hours to make this work, and then the deal gets done quickly. So go ahead and take that gun-pointing moment and push it into September or October, and hopefully we see an end to this just ridiculousness. Because we're talking about all these big-name restricted free agents this year. It's going to happen every summer. So the NHL is going to have to figure this out, and I'm wondering if that gets put into the collective bargaining agreement, moving that deadline forward. That's the way that I see to kind of fix what's wrong, and it is definitely a broken system. All right, so what does the hockey news think? Well, I'm not going to tell you guys everything because then they're going to get mad at me. So I'm not going to tell you everything because where's the fun in that? And you got to read through the magazine. And I've been looking through it already, and I really enjoy it. I'm going to be honest, the hockey news, this pool guide, I used to buy this every year, and I'm not in hockey pools, but I would look through it a lot during the season. And it gives you a good idea of players that fluctuate wildly in totals and which ones don't. Which guys probably had career years and which ones didn't. For instance, I know Jeff Skinner, they're predicting him to get 34 goals and 59 points. That's about a career average. Goals is a little bit higher than his average in Carolina. Points, 59 is about where his average is normally. So they're saying he's going to fall back to a career average kind of year. And that's just one example. Now, their top 10, I don't feel like I'm being rude and giving their top 10. They have Connor McDavid as the number one scorer with 44 goals, 77 assists. The first thing that stood out to me is a lack of 50 goal scorers on this board. Kucherov, 40 goals, 75 assists for 115 points. Leon Draisaitl, they think 48 goals, 52 assists, 100 points. Mitch Marner, they have a 25 goals, 71 assists, 96 points. Maybe don't show that to Sportsnet. Crosby, 33 goals, 62 assists for 95 points. Nathan McKinnon, 40 goals, 54 assists, 94 points. Patrick Kane, 38 goals, 56 assists, 94 points. I have to take issue with something they say too. They say that Patrick Kane had a great year, and he follows every great year with a not-so-great one. Then they have Kane with 94 points. If you're going to say Patrick Kane's going to have a mediocre or not such a great year, scoring-wise, don't give him 94 points, because that means you're kind of having it both ways. It'd be kind of like me saying, I don't think that team's going to be very good. Yeah, they're going to win the Stanley Cup. Nah, come on. Just give Stamkos 80 points if you're going to say that he's not going to have as good of a year and he's going to follow it with a not-so-great year. 94 points is a great year. Stamkos, 50 goals, 43 assists, 93 points. So they think Stammer's going to get back to 50 goals. There was talk early last year that he could never get back to 50, and now here we are. Marchand, 38 goals, 55 assists, 93 points. I think it's a safe bet Marchand doesn't score 100 again. And Alexander Barkov, 33 goals, 59 assists for 92 points. So they're favoring Barkov falling back. I thought it was interesting that there were a lack of 50 goal scorers and only 3 guys with 100 points as well. Top 5 goalies, and this is by wins. Vasilevsky, they say 45 wins, 13 losses, 6 overtime losses. Connor Hellebuck, 40 wins, 20 losses, 6 overtime losses. Martin Jones, 38 wins, 18 losses, 6 overtime losses. Braden Holtby, 38 wins, 20 losses, 5 overtime losses. And Freddie Anderson has a 38, 20, and 7 record. So they're just saying 2 more overtime losses for Freddie. And then there were a bunch of goalies at 37 wins as well. So, again, this is one of those areas where we kind of see a recency bias. And I can already see by where they have goaltenders finishing in wins that they're kind of favoring a status quo. We'll see when the annuals come out of where they're predicting teams to finish, just how status quo they're expecting things to be, and then I'll compare my predictions to the predictions of all of these other annuals that come out. There's like 4 different yearbooks that come out that I buy right away. So we'll see where they all predict things to be. But right now, the hockey news would seem to be indicating that teams are going to stay kind of the same, because the goalies are from Tampa, Winnipeg, San Jose, Washington, and Toronto as your top 5 wins guys. And Pekka Rinne was next at 6th. So they're not, seemingly anyways, they're not seeing a big change in the standings. And that's that recency bias I talked about in the standings video I did. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, where you guys think the scoring's going to finish this year, how many 50-goal scorers we get, how many 100-point scorers, this kind of thing. And can Stamkos get to 50? Let me know your thoughts on that. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for all your support and for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.